going down, fuck the world, I'm a thug. Tell them can't nothing stop me but a slug.
Well, the event, in my opinion, now people are saying best ever. I doubt that. I mean, I've watched a lot of events and I don't know what the best ever is. But I will say that 217 struck me as the best card that held together in 2017 for sure. All the big fights were there. None of the 3 title fights dropped out. And what was the biggest surprise? Well, I'd say that we had 3 title fights and all the current champions lost. And not only lost, but lost definitively. No bullshit disqualifications. You know, definitive losses, knockout, choke out. You know what I mean? But I would have to say, okay, first, the biggest surprise, Rose Namajunas having the punching power to actually stop Joanna Champion with strikes. And then GSP fighting like he did back 9 years ago against Jay Heron with the spinning back kicks and actual aggression and looking like he wanted to stop a fight and not just win on points.
Okay, hold on. Seriously. All bullshit aside, over or under on GSP actually being on steroids for this fight? Because I don't know why or how he came out that aggressive. I mean, I really don't. We were talking about this earlier, Aaron. And seriously, you got to go back fucking damn near a decade to find this aggressive of a GSP. Did the sports fucking psychologist pay off? Did the time off make him fucking turn into Vanderlei Silva? I mean, he literally threw a fucking spinning fucking heel kick. When is the last time you seen GSP do that in a fight? I got no answers for it. I mean, I know I picked Bisping going into this fight, so I'm not trying to save face. I don't give a shit. I pick fights wrong all the time. I don't claim to know fuck all about predicting fights. Shit happens. But I wouldn't think he would have fucking came out like that and been thunder striking the fuck out of him. I mean, yeah, he gassed a little bit, but all things considered, for being out 4 years, moving up a weight class, having fucking shaking ass Freddie Roach in his corner. Fuck does Freddie Roach know about MMA? I mean, yeah, he's a boxing coach. He barely knows where he's at half the fucking time. Freddie Roach is a fucking dinosaur.
I'll tell you what, it is that level of aggression that was surprising. We were talking about pride before the show. Right now, we've lost soccer kicks, knees to a downed opponent, and stomps, right? Which is arguably a good or a bad thing. I don't know, right? But I have a feeling that in this post-USADA world, you know, it's not Mark Kerr on steroids and meth. Even if we had him, they'd be held back, right? So my measure of whether somebody needs to be piss tested immediately is usually unusual levels of aggression, right? Like that fucking Brazilian we'll talk about in a little bit, who's obviously on steroids. But that was the thing. At 37 years old, 4 years off, he took the fight to Bisping harder than he has taken the fight to anyone since what, Matt Hughes?
Literally.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Tell you what, if he actually is not on steroids, then I got to hand it to GSP. That cute cocksucker came in and shocked the fuck out of me. He looked good. He looked aggressive. I mean, I've heard people be like, he kind of looked like shit and he looked a little slow and blah, blah, blah. Hey, whatever, man. Say what you want. He fucking just starched Bisping. I mean, he had a little bit of trouble there for a minute, but for the most part, he controlled that fight, you know?
All right, guys. I'll be back as soon as I can. I'm going to hop on the computer.
All right, cool.
So
Bye.
here's a few comments here on the YouTube. Raider says, I made all my picks on the undercard, but I lost GSP and Gamebred. UC thinks, he goes, GSP on steroids for sure with capital letters. Here's one, though. Joey says GSP had to come out aggressive because his cardio was shit, so he needed to finish the fight quickly. No steroids, I don't think.
I mean, maybe, man, but you just have to, you know, possibly. But, you know, if you've been watching this fucking sport for a long time, you've watched the progression of what happened to GSP. After he got knocked out by Matt Serra, GSP adopted a very, very different game plan to his fucking fighting and his strategy, and it was very risk averse. This was not that at all. Yeah. Even knowing that his gas tank was shot, I felt like he would have been reluctant to get in a fucking firefight with Michael Bisping like that. But I mean, fuck what I thought. He fucking did, and he won. So
yeah, no, I mean, I think it's possible that he knew he had to finish Bisping early in order to have a shot, because he was slowing down hard. No, he was slowing down pretty hard, and you know, Bisping going forever, and he knows that too. So.
Yeah, but GSP never gassed.
It depends on who you ask. Did you guys watch Bad Guy Incorporated, whatever it is, with Chael Sonnen?
Yeah,
I haven't seen it since then.
it's on YouTube, right?
Oh, you talking about when he said that GSP was stronger than Mike?
Yeah.
Well, but he said he didn't see a guy who was slowing down or gassing. He saw a guy that got a knockdown and conserved energy.
Yeah, true.
Well, now I remember. Chael mentioned that that GSP knows what he has to do in order to, he's like, all right, I'm gonna win the first round. I can take the second off, come back hard in the third, win that round. So he knows how to win rounds.
But yeah, that's what he said. He said that this guy is arguably the master at winning 5-round contests. So after you've secured a knockdown and a takedown, you don't have to look good for the rest of the round unless the other guy catches up to you. If not, then fuck it, conserve some energy because you are carrying around that extra 15 pounds of horse meat.
Of ovary meat.
All right, let's stop pussyfooting around now. Whether we like it or not, or whether he cheated or not, the cocksucker won the fight. What do we think he's going to do, and what do we want to see GSP do next?
What do I think he's going to do?
And what do you want to see him do? Yeah, do you think he stays at 85 and fights Whitaker? Do you think he goes to 70 and fights Woodley? Or the big humdinger, you think they say fuck it and throw him and C-Mac in there and take the money and run?
I don't know.
So listen, okay, I tell you what I want. What I would like to see is him fight Whitaker, because I think it's only fucking right. And plus I think Whitaker is a guy that's remotely his size. He used to fight at 70. Whitaker is not one of these gargantuan middleweights like fucking Weidman or Rockhold. So I think it's a fight that GSP could potentially win. I say he fights Whitaker, drops all those middleweight belts in an ideal world if he wins, then drops to 70, fights Woodley for his old belt in his last fight. And if he wins that, then he keeps that belt, gives that one back, and get the fuck out of here, GSP. Right off into the sunset.
That leaves middleweight real messy, but no matter what happens, it leaves middleweight messy, right? Because let's say that he doesn't want to do 185 again. It's too much weight, he gassed, whatever. So then he vacates. Well, who does Bobby Knuckles fight then?
Luke.
Right, to unify a title that doesn't mean shit to begin with?
What about Mike?
Fuck that,
Mike.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, I don't know.
No, I mean, no way, but the Mike, you can't get, fuck that. He just lost to fucking Georges. Georges has to stay here, goddammit. He can't dip out on
Let me tell you what about Mike Bisping. He already made it a bridge too far. The fact that he ever wore gold is the most unlikely story in UFC history as far as I'm concerned.
You know what's hilarious? If we could have went back like 2 years ago and you'd have said, which one will happen first? Michael Bisping becomes the middleweight champion of the UFC or Donald Trump becomes president of the United States? I would have been fucking torn.
Honestly, I would have said, what kind of fiction book are you guys reading?
No shit.
So, let's not say anything fucking outlandish tonight, because apparently reality is real receptive to some crazy bullshit over the last 24 months.
No fucking shit, man.
Yeah, shit, you telling me?
So what's he do though? What's he do? What's he gonna do? Is he gonna stay at middleweight or is he dropping to welter?
I honestly, I think this was his tune-up fight. I think that he comes back at welterweight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, and everyone's talking about, oh, it's in his contract. He has to fight Whitaker, he has to defend or unify the belts. Yeah, look, you can put whatever you want in a contract. Contracts are meant to be fucking broken, is the saying, right? So, I think they throw him in there against Tyron Woodley. Play the Woodley's a bad guy angle, kind of like a Mayweather-ish type of character, and promote it that way. And you'll get plenty of people to watch.
What do you guys think about that fight? Like, I don't really have a whole lot of love for Tyron as the champion, but you got to admit the guy is pretty athletic. He's pretty frightening. Besides his two fights with Wonder Boy, his fights are pretty exciting. I mean, at any moment, you know that it's all done. When he took on Robbie Lawler in an instant. When he takes on most fighters, it is all done in an instant. You know what I mean? And so it's one of those things. GSP has been less than durable in the past, Matt Serra. And so that's really interesting. With Tyron Woodley's takedown defense and GSP's takedown heavy offense, the fact that Tyron can definitely thunderstrike you with one punch, I think that would be a pretty damn exciting fight, but I just don't think it would draw a lot of numbers.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's definitely, and listen, after fucking the way GSP fought Michael Bisping, all bets are off. He's fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme now. I wouldn't put nothing past the fucking guy. Maybe he comes out and fucking, I mean, Nate Marquardt did some Mortal Kombat shit on Tyron Woodley. If he can, surely old Georges can. But you're right. That was going to be my question to you guys, because listen, let's be fucking honest. At this point in the game, WME cares about the dollars. So fuck what we're talking about. Which one of these fights makes more money? George versus Bobby Knuckles or George versus Tyron Woodley? Which does more pay-per-view buys?
Well, dude, I've got to be honest. I think it's just George.
It don't matter.
I mean, yeah, I think it is, because Canada's going to tune in, right? Canada hasn't given a flying fuck about MMA for 4 years.
They left with George.
Right. And all of a sudden, Canada's back on the scene, right? Prior to Conor McGregor, didn't George St. Pierre have the largest event in history, UFC 100 or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. George was the king of everything. Contrary to what Chael Sonnen spews out there, George was the king of everything before Conor.
Yeah, no, GSP was it. Now, what about that bullshit they're throwing around? You were talking about it right now. People were talking about GSP against Conor. Is that even possible?
I
think if this was right, that would probably, I mean, if you're just talking about ridiculous freak show money fight, that's the biggest money fight that's left in the UFC.
Right.
You have those guys meet at 170, but that's the problem, right? Is that McGregor, he's already bitching about fighting Nate Diaz, who was 4 times his size, or what did he say? Something crazy. So if he loses to GSP, he's just going to explain it away that GSP was like fighting Godzilla.
For sure.
Yeah, he's like, Nate was 3 times my size. Fuck yourself.
Three times his size. So he weighed, 450 pounds.
Seriously.
I do think, before we wrap this up, I do think they end up going with the Tyron Woodley fight. I think Tyron will sell it more than Bobby Knuckles will. I don't know what that does to middleweight, but I do think that they're going to have George drop down and fight Tyron Woodley, because at least Tyron will talk a little smack. He'll go on Ariel's show, and he'll do more for the fight than fucking Robert Whitaker will. So
what I thought was funny as hell is Tyron immediately, he says, "Fuck it, I'm going up to 185, and I'm going to go get George St. Pierre." Did you see Weidman look down at Tyron? What do you mean you're going up to 185? And it did look like a giant looking at a midget. Forget how big these 185ers are compared to the 170 guys. It looked like Weidman was like, "Yeah, come on up to 185. I'd love to see you up there. I haven't been doing so good, but I'm pretty sure I'd smack you right out of the cage."
Yeah, he ain't going up to 80 nothing.
Yeah. So real quick before we talk about TJ and Cody, Jose has thrown his hat into the Holloway sweepstakes. Says, UFC, I'm ready for the title with Holloway. Give me my rematch.
Man,
I'm not. I don't want to see it. I don't care.
Learned his lesson the last time he got his ass beat.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't. And listen, man, I'd almost rather see Jose get a rematch with Conor than Max. Max won a fight against Jose. They fought for a while, and Max came out on top. Like, I need to at least see one performance from Jose before I'm even remotely interested in that.
No, I'm with you on that. All right, talk about TJ and Cody. TJ finishes. I mean, that was a good fight, really. Cody drops TJ in the first round at the very end. 5 more seconds, if I meant that would have been over, maybe. And then for TJ to drop him with that right hook right to the chin. Drops him, finishes him on the ground, and then that fucking angry ass yell. Pretty much put his lips on fucking Cody's face and screamed his ass off. That was just I don't know. TJ as champ again, Aaron. What's your thoughts?
My thought is this: when you get out of your game plan, you never look as good as you do when you're in your game plan. Cody looked slick against Cruz because he fought cool and calm. And he was the consummate counter striker, right? Let Cruz do all of his dancing and juking and jiving. And when you get your chance, you counter strike. And he made Cruz look like an idiot. And he looked great. So then you get with TJ Dillashaw, and you're going to go ahead like a slugger, Deontay Wilder in a slugfest, just do a duke 'em out. Why would you do that? Especially after the first round where you almost finished it. It's a 5-round fight. Be calm, man. You're the champion. Let him come to you. Look for your opportunity to knock him out. But that's not what he did. He got caught up in the emotion, and it was a slugfest back and forth. And as we've all seen time and time again, when it gets to be a fight like that, like a John Lineker fight, it's usually the cat who tags the other one first. It's not skill. It wasn't amazing. He whiffed on his shot. TJ landed his. Lights out. Easy peasy, right? So whatever. I don't really get into the whole snake thing. I think that TJ Dillashaw is a fighter that wanted to realize that he couldn't do it with Uriah Faber and the alpha male team, which no fucking surprise. Those goddamn guys stay exactly the same for their entire career. How much do we want to see Uriah Faber start doing something different? How much have we wanted to see a lot of those guys progress and do something different? But when you stay at the same gym with the same coaches for a decade, your look is always going to be the same. Kind of like Diego Sanchez looks exactly the same 58 years later after The Ultimate Fighter as he does. The guy still can't throw a decent kick, right? But we still tune in to fight him because he's a nut job. I think that TJ Dillashaw figured, you know what? They got me this far, but this is how I look. When Bang Ludwig does this with me and works on my footwork, I'm getting better. I have a different look. I'm doing these things. Then shocked the world when he took the title the first time against
Hennen.
Barao, right?
Bravo.
And not just like luckily beat him, beat the shit out of him, right? So at that point, didn't everybody want to see more TJ Dillashaw like that?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So how's that going to happen? Stick with the coach that got you there. So yeah, I'm happy to see him champ again, and it sets up a good rematch.
Yeah, I never understood this whole thought, like the alpha male thought, or mindset. Stay the same, gym. You want to grow, you got to move. I think, as far as the MMA goes. All right. And then of course the probably the biggest surprise of the whole card was Rose dropping Joanna and finishing her by knockout. I mean, fuck that. By the way, I was happy. I was marking the fuck out when that happened. But it was really cool to see and everything. But it's weird to see. I mean, social media is full of idiots. To be honest with you, most people are cool. There's a lot of idiots though that were giving Joanna shit, like saying like, "Oh, she's bullshit. It was a fake. It's another Ronda Rousey." I don't agree with that. I think she just got caught. You know what I mean, I think she's as good as she's ever been. I think she just got caught by Rose. With that, what was it, like a left hook and dropped her? But it's weird to see that kind of shit going against Joanna, right, Fred?
People are fucking retarded, man. I love this whole narrative that everything's a big fucking coup of some kind. Ronda was never sold as something that she wasn't, man. She was the baddest bitch on earth. She did have phenomenal judo and grappling. She had noted striking deficiencies that eventually got exposed. I mean, she is who we thought she was, man. People are, Joanna wasn't that good. Of course she is. Rose is just very good too. Any championship fight, that shit can happen. Rose is a striker. Fuck, you seen what she did to the karate hottie?
Yeah.
They don't just call her the karate hottie for nothing. The bitch can strike, and Rose thunderstruck her. Rose can strike. Like, that shit wasn't no fluke. Joanna's still a beast. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing to take away from her. Shit just happened. Like Aaron said on the last fight.
It's another good case. It's another good case of a rematch, right?
Right. They could fight 10 times and it could go. Joanna could have caught her with that punch. This is the fucking way it goes. It's the fucking fight game, man. This is MMA.
I think what a lot of casuals have a hard time wrapping their minds around is that when you look at Rose, you don't see a powerful fighter, right? But the proof is in the pudding. When she hits somebody, their knees buckle. So just like certain guys are heavy-handed, she's just accurate that way, or God made her with the right tendon attachments where she just hits with that many more, square, or those foot-pounds per pressure, or whatever it was, or chalk it up to a slow start for Joanna. But most of the people who are comparing Joanna Jacek, or however you say her name, to Ronda Rousey, not the same. She didn't disappear after the loss. Now, she is full of shit. She did tap out, and she said she wasn't going to cry about it. Crying about it. But that's neither here nor there. It sets up a great rematch, and it's a great, young champion. We love to see that 24, 25 years old. She had a real cool head, said she just wanted to be
He just went roboto on us. What the fuck?
Yep.
All right.
You're stuttering and freezing, young man.
Hey, you still there?
Nope.
Oh, all right. Fred, what about the thought? There's a lot of people out there thinking that Joanna might have, mind fucked herself out of the game or out of the fight with the whole boogie woman thing. They're like, boogie woman, and all that shit. She came in super emotional. Rose, meanwhile, was fucking like a cold-blooded killer, saying that the Lord's Prayer at the fake weigh-ins, just cold shit. But this whole boogie woman thing, do you think Joanna was so emotional she might have fucked herself?
I mean, listen, there's two ways to look at it, right? Like, yeah, maybe she was talking a lot of shit. It was a lot of boogie woman talk going on, but she's usually like that. No, like she kind of does this with most of her fight. Ain't she like this with all of her opponents? Fucking gets in their face and talks shit. And maybe she got it to a bit of a fever pitch this go around, but like, she always kind of talks shit and gets very in her opponent's face. I don't think she was that much different this time around. I don't know, man. I feel like happens. We all feel like we have to point to some excuse or something. Something had to be wrong with Joanna. Maybe she just got socked in her face. These are little gloves and Thug wanted it bad. Maybe she just that punch came quick. She covered distance fast. Maybe she just kind of surprised Joanna. And before Joanna knew it, she was on her fucking beating the shit out of her. Shit happens, man.
Yeah, that's the thing about MMA. It shit happens. That's like
right,
the theme.
Right. Like there ain't no fucking, big crazy thing. Maybe Joanna just got caught slipping. It's that simple.
Yeah, and we'll probably see the rematch next. Don't get it twisted. I know Joanna was talking about her big surprise was how she won the belt and tied the record or whatever. She was going to move up to 125 and win that belt and be a 2-division champion. That was her thoughts. Now,
the most hilarious thing is that she thought that was a surprise. I got something to tell you guys, bitch. We know we've been heard that you're going up to 25. Like we know that the Bullet's supposed to meet you there, Shevchenko, and we already know all about it. Like we know. But see. This is why you fucking, goddamn it, don't fucking get ahead of yourself. What the fuck? Like, we ain't gonna get none of that shit now.
Motherfuckers loving to be a soldier. Must maintain composure at ease, don't like the